what we have learned, as Yoda would say. And I'm going to slightly change that, more like relearn how to learn. Something that happened in the current day, it's the information age. There's more information than there's ever been before. We have the entire internet at our disposal, and it's just permeated our culture. It's a fire hose of information available to us to sip on anytime we want, and we've trained ourselves to do it over and over again. Like, what was the last time you just had to know something and you Googled it? I simply must know this now. I reach into my pocket and I Google, what is Kafivi? Still, I don't think anybody knows. Or like, maybe is Radio Shack still in business? I don't think anybody knows that either. Or like, nerd mullet. I will sometimes... Thank you. Going last is kind of fun. I can do that. But the problem is, if we live in the information phase, if we only live at the fire hose level, where we just consume all of this knowledge endlessly and we never do anything with it, we start to regurgitate that information without knowing that it's even valid. We don't even know that it's applicable. Does it even make sense? We just say, that sounds good, retweet. That sounds fantastic. They'll think I'm smart if I retweet that and share it on Facebook and write a Medium post about it. And so what I want to talk to you real quick is the 4 stages of complete learning. It starts with information, the fire hose. We're really good at this as developers. We can go get information. We can copy and paste it off of Stack Overflow right into our application. In fact, the other day, I just saw there was a Python module called Stack Overflow Importer. Did anybody see that? It literally would, like, if you don't know how to build a feature, you like describe it, and it will look through Stack Overflow and like find Python code that's validated and import it into your code. $50 to whoever ports it to PHP. I think that would be amazing. But after information comes understanding, and that's just the ability to comprehend what that information is about. Is this real? Can I validate that it's even true? Can I poke holes in it? Is it fake news? Right? That's a thing now. And we're really good at this. I think I'm kind of preaching to the choir, because we gather information, we understand it, and we regurgitate, and we wouldn't be here getting more information if that wasn't the case. However, after that comes the lesser-known stage 4, which is integration. And that is, it also happens to fit well into like the code metaphor. But integration is basically when you take that information, you understand it, and you analyze it to see if it fits your worldview. Is this information, is this knowledge actually work with what I'm doing, whether it's something about code or whether it's something in your life? Is this something that fits into the way I want the world to be? And if that's true, you need to apply it. You need to get into application to actually put it into production or to live it. And until you go through these entire 4 stages, you can't know it. So until you live your information, you can't prove that it's true. And I know that I'm guilty of writing about stuff that I didn't really know and didn't live and didn't bring all the way through into action. And so I don't blog a lot, because I now live this. And so I think if you go to my blog, I don't think I've written in about a year. But I've been learning. And I'm going to tell you what I've learned. So goal number 2 is to rewire our sense of satisfaction, which happens to come from a cultural shift that is unique to our generation. So 40, 35, whatever, and younger, including millennials, and even my little kids, there's a problem with where we get our sense of emotional satisfaction. And what that means is, our generation gets the same amount of satisfaction from passing along information that our parents' generation did from accomplishing something. If you think about that for a minute, that means when we share something and we tweet something, we feel like we did it. But we didn't do anything. We just pushed the button and we tried to look good. So another way to think about that is our parents' generation would do something. And they would, when they were done, it was over, and they were happy. And we live in the let's do this generation. We get really excited about the thought of doing something. We tell everybody about our cool app idea, and that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that is where we're getting our sense of satisfaction, something else happens. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you actually just became less likely to actually do it. It's been something I've noticed in myself. I've seen it in other people. I've told a lot of people about all these apps I was going to build. And as soon as I did that, like, what if I build it? I don't know. They already know I was going to do it, so they're not really going to pat me on the back. And so if you can think through that and decide when you're going to tell somebody, be committed to doing it already. Or brace yourself, because you don't want to use that moment to ruin your momentum. Something I noticed. Not that there's anything wrong with telling people stuff. That's okay. Don't stop that. We're here doing that now. Tweet pictures of this. Why not? Anyway. Goal number 3. Goal number 3 would be to improve our capacity for deep focus. Who here has read Deep Work by Cal Newport? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This book, I read this book in December, and it really, really hit me hard because I was basically doing the opposite of this all of the time. And let me just give you a really quick summary of what deep work is. Everything we do in a given day is either deep or shallow work. So if it's something that you can do in 20 minutes, do it real quick, email, tweet, reply to somebody, close a GitHub issue, this is shallow work. We need to do it. This stuff has to get done. However, deep work is rare. It's valuable, and I think, nope, that's not my next slide. Deep work is rare, but it's something that takes time. It takes focus. It takes you the ability to just slow down and block out all your distractions and think about something and solve a problem for an extended period of time. And it's drastically missing in our culture today. We live in a culture of distraction. On our phones all the time, as soon as we have a spare 5 minutes, spare 2 minutes, a spare minute, you run to the bathroom, you pull out your phone. We'll go out to dinner, pull out our phone. I'm thinking maybe something's more interesting on Reddit than this conversation right now, so pull out my phone. I do it. I'm pretty sure we've all done it. We've probably all been annoyed by other people doing it, but we still do it anyway. It's like our distraction mode. The button is just permanently switched on, and we don't know how to turn it off because we've trained ourselves to do this. We've trained ourselves because we're literally giving ourselves little hits of dopamine. I just love that. It's just, well, when we share information, when we search Reddit, when we look for something, we're trying to find something that makes us feel good. A good GIF, an interesting blog post. Most people under 20 can't even get through a 30-minute sitcom without pulling out their phone and checking to see if something more interesting is happening to get them a laugh in the next 15 seconds because the next joke probably isn't coming for 30 seconds. That's just the way it is. But I don't think it's the way it has to be. We've trained ourselves to need a hit of dopamine on average every 20 minutes, which means our attention span on average is about 20 minutes long. They did a study where they put people in a room for between 6 to 15 minutes, and all they did was sit in a chair. And they sat in the chair, and there was a live wire in front of them, and they just waited to see what would happen. And more than 60% of the people chose to electrocute themselves than just sit there and do nothing. And more than once, they would literally be like, oh my God, like, it's been 4 minutes, what do? I'll touch it again. If that doesn't tell you something about how much we need to distract ourselves and we're afraid of our own thoughts, I don't know what will. That's a really good study. It's affected our business culture. I hope we all listen for a second. We now have something that's called busyness as proxy for productivity. And what that is if you're not visibly busy, it's assumed you're not working. I almost fell over. Think about this. If you live if anybody in an open office environment and you got to do that George Costanza thing where if you're just like staring at the wall, even if you're solving a problem, you're afraid that your boss is going to walk by or a manager or somebody's going to walk by and think you're not working. That happens a lot. And because of that, we always are training our brains to do something with our time, to look busy, to pull something up on the screen, and we're not giving our minds an opportunity to slow down and actually work through problems. Our subconscious mind is extremely powerful, and we've basically drowned it out with the internet and our phones. Not that there's anything wrong with the internet or phones. I'm going to say that a lot, because it sounds accusatory, and it's not. I'm just thinking there's a way that we can do this better. There's also something called the principle of least resistance, which without clear feedback on the things that we could do, without clear feedback on the impact of various behaviors on the bottom line, like what do I need to do that will actually make my business make more money or like make this application better, without knowing what the bottom line is, we just will tend towards doing stuff that is easiest in the moment. So maybe the best thing that you could possibly do takes 8 hours, and that would change your entire business. But there's this other thing that's really easy that you could do that would take like 20 minutes. We're probably going to do that first because we're like, well, I'll get on a roll, and I'll do that, and then I'll do the big thing. But then you do the other thing, the next thing, that's like another 20 minutes, and we spend our whole day like on autopilot. This is called looping. You can change. I've done it, but it's really painful. Oh, that's not how you do it. Cal Newport in his book talks about the value of deep work. Back in 2007, 2008, when Twitter was new, it was cool to be on Twitter. I mean, maybe it still is, but nobody else was doing it. When you were on Twitter and you were sharing your information and you were positioning yourself as an expert, you were a rare thing. It is not rare to be on Twitter anymore. It's not rare to be on social media, blasting everything and tweeting. Not that there's anything wrong with tweeting, but it was rare, and now everybody does it. And so he theories, and I think it makes a lot of sense, that if everybody's doing something and you want to stand out, you just can't do more of the same thing everybody's doing. You need to do the other thing that everybody isn't doing. And so I quit Twitter for like 4 months. And then I got back on Twitter. And then I quit Twitter again. Anyway, I'll get to that later. He has 4 rules in the book, in Deep Work. And it's a great book. We do an entire conference about it. We could talk for 8 hours or 50 hours about it, and we wouldn't cover everything because it's really, really good. I really recommend you all read it. However, he has 4 rules. I'm going to breeze through these real quickly. And I think if you just start to think about the value that this might bring, just try reading the book. Anyway, number 1 is to work deeply. And this means you make a ritual of finding time in your schedule to have large blocks of uninterrupted time to do something, where you quit Slack, you close your email, maybe you leave the coffee shop, you go to a park, you turn off the Wi-Fi, and you track how much time you spend in deep work. That is a success metric. It is a KPI that you can track on a weekly basis. And I did this for 3 months, and it was really awesome. I did it so much that, like Matt said, I kind of went overboard, and there was a lot of stuff that didn't get done, and we came back and did that. But you should really try it. Rule number 2 is embrace boredom. So when you have that 5 minutes to spare, and you think, I don't know, let's see what's on Reddit right now. What's on Hacker News? It's OK to go to those sites, but schedule them and put them in a time dedicated for that. Don't fill the day with distractions. What you need to do is start to train your brain to stop needing that hit of dopamine, to lengthen your attention span beyond 20 minutes, beyond 30 minutes, beyond an hour. I believe Taylor told me a year or 2 ago that he wrote just about all of Eloquent in like one massive coding session, where I imagine him like swordfish, there's like monitors everywhere, and he's just like coding, and like somebody brings him food and he doesn't even know where it came from. That's probably accurate. That's deep work. That's a focus state. That is what some people call a flow state, and it's extremely rare because we don't allow our brain to like think about doing something for that long. So by embracing boredom, it's part of training your mind to let your brain work unconsciously. And there's this theory called the unconscious thought theory, where you solve most of your problems without thinking about them. Have you ever like been in the shower and you're like, I don't know, washing your hair, and you have an awesome idea, and you're like, I don't know what. You're like trying to write it on the wall of the bathroom. Or you go for a walk and you'll bring your phone and you have like all these great ideas, but you didn't write them down. Your brain is doing a lot of things when you're not thinking about it. And if we don't let our brains do that, we're shorting ourselves. Beware of looping. Looping is that point when you have this big thing that you need to do. I know I've got to this feature, like, it's never been done before. This is critical to our app, but it's so hard. So I'm just going to, like, go around the edges of it. And, like I'm going to, refactor the code that's going to go here. And I'm going to, just review the information, review the spec, and, like, tinker with it instead of diving deep into the problem. Because, someone's going to interrupt you in, like, 45 minutes, and you're not going to be able to do it anyway. So beware of looping. Rule number 3, and I did this, is quit social media. Just for 30 days. Just try it. If you just cold turkey, you don't have to do it today. Like, let's all share this information. Let's keep Laracon going well. But if you can quit Twitter for 30 days, and if at the end of the 30 days you get back on and, like, nothing was different, and, like, nobody missed you, like, what were you doing there? Like, if you're trying to, like, build a more successful company, you're trying to release an app, or you're trying to, like, make a difference, and you're spending all this time, like, trying to maintain a social media profile, I don't know, like, maybe there's a better way to do it. Maybe you can schedule things, or you can just do once a week, and there's probably a better way. However, if you have a social media marketing management job, like, that's probably, like, that's quitting your job. Like, don't do that. People will pay you to do it, and so, like, if that's the case, there's nothing wrong with it. Start with 30 days. Don't use the internet for entertainment. I got ahead of myself there. Rule number 4, schedule every minute of the day. I do this, and this is the first thing I do. I sit down at my desk, I take out my big, giant iPad Pro that people make fun of me for because it's so big, and I just write out, like, a line, and, like, each line is, like, 30 minutes, and I just write down everything I'm going to do. And then I just do that. And if something ends up being more important than this, I can change it, but I'm doing it as a decision. I'm not just reacting in the moment, like, on autopilot, just doing whatever pops into my mind or whatever pops into my inbox. My inbox is closed when I can, and by doing this, you will get the things done that you know you need to do. And I don't like structure. Like, I was homeschooled, I have my own company, I probably could never work for somebody else. Structure sucks. This works for me. This works for a lot of people, and it's worth the effort to do it and just try it for, like, 30 days. Avoid autopiloting. And then when you do all that stuff, and if you get it done ahead of time, don't cram more stuff in your day. Just, like, stop working. If you do the stuff you plan on doing, and you made a good plan, and you're done doing it, just go play video games. I don't know. Learn to say no. Become harder to reach. You don't have to commit to everything. Don't reply to emails immediately. Start, like, just slowly taking longer to do everything. And, like, get all of your friends to do it with you. And it's not that you want to be bad at what you're doing. It's just you're not setting the expectation of immediacy where you can be interrupted from something important, something you decided that was important to do. Rule number 5 is mine. You need to stop comparing yourself to other people. This is where a lot of anxiety comes from. I know for me and a lot of people I've talked to have the same problem where we're building something, we've got a company, we've got dreams, we've got goals, and you hop onto Twitter and you see, like, Adam Wathan, like, made $1 million today. And then you see, like, this new app launched, and then 3 blog posts from these great guys, and it feels like everybody is doing something amazing, and you're like, I'm, like, on line 7 of this thing that I can't even figure out because I'm, like, on Reddit. And we're comparing people's highlight reels to our blooper reels or to, like, our daily grind. That blog post might have been in the work for 6 months. It feels like they just woke up in the morning and typed it out. It's usually not the case. If you stop comparing yourself to other people, you'll find that you're more satisfied with yourself. And the result of all of this, if you can learn how to work deeply, your ability to focus will grow up, and you will be able to watch a movie without pulling out your phone. You'll be able to tackle big products. Your fear of missing out on stuff will shrink until it's literally gone. I don't miss out on anything. You will be more present. You will stop looking at your kids like you're looking at them through the window and wishing, I wish I could be here right now, but I'm still at work. You'll find as you become present and in the moment, and you can enjoy those moments with your kids or with your friends and your family. Those are my kids. That's my daughter. She's awesome. You will create more value in less time. Those things, those ideas that you come up with out of the blue, 1 block of deep focus time. The first week I did this, I got done in 4 hours what would have been the equivalent of 2 weeks worth of work the week before, because I was focused, and I had a plan. It just works. Company leaders, like your employees just can't choose to do this. They'll probably get fired. But if you have the ability to think about this, evaluate this, see if it fits into your worldview, see what I'm doing here, applying this in your company, give your team the ability to experiment with deep work, you might be shocked at what could happen. This is something that a lot of companies are doing now. It's not something I invented. It's just something I learned, I tried, and is very powerful. And you will have free time. If you've ever thought, I wish I had more hours in the day, this is like how you do it. We don't get more hours, but you can get more done in less time. And so when you have free time, you can enjoy downtime. You can make sure life doesn't pass you by. And you can learn karate in 3 weeks because that's what Hollywood teaches us. You could tackle goals you never thought possible, like, can we put a Lamborghini on the moon? Maybe we could do it. And something else you can do with your free time is goal number 4, which is teach what you know. A lot of people who are really good at this, Jeffrey Way, the guys at Titan, I mean, you guys are like Titans, but spelled differently, in this industry. But if you can teach what you know, we're going to talk about this. You can change the world. If you're not on Twitter, how are you going to have social interaction? Especially if you have a remote company like me. You have to be building personal relationships. And with that free time that you will have, I recommend that you get FaceTime with people and mentor somebody. This is a big part of my talk. And I don't have any fancy slides about this. But I think that something that is really missing in our world right now is mentors who are really willing to sacrifice themselves and put their time into somebody younger than them. The problem is, maybe we don't know that we should do it, and maybe we don't know how to do it. It's literally just spending time with people who are willing to learn from you. And if you can't find anybody who's willing to learn from you, just find anybody. They don't think they need help, but they probably do. And don't do this in like a condescending way, like, hi. You want me to be your Mr. Miyagi? No. That's not how that's going to work. But just find some people, hire an intern, teach them some stuff. If people don't know that they need help, just ask them for help, and you'll be surprised what you find out about them. Ask them to help you like pull some flower beds out or something, like help move your trampoline to the other side so you can lawn mow underneath it. Or ask them if they can help you convert some jQuery thing to Vue.js, right? Just ask for help. Get some junior people just in your life. Hire an intern. I just threw this slide in here last minute. If this is something that you would be interested in doing, if you think you have a little bit of time or are willing to pursue this idea, just send me an email if you want to mentor anybody, if you're willing to be a mentor. Just jack+mentor@jackmcdade.com. Or if you are younger and you're watching on the live stream or whatever, and you would like to have a mentor, like let's just pair people up and just have some one-on-one mentor-mentee time. Is anybody okay with that? Does that sound interesting at all to you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just keep standing here. Anybody else? Send me an email. I didn't build an app. I didn't charge $10. No offense. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it can make a difference. And I know it's really missing out there because I've wanted to have one. And learning how to design, I had to do all the work myself. I couldn't find anybody to teach me something. I feel like I could still be a better designer, and I can't get anybody to help me. So I'll find someone who can't design at all, and I'll teach them something, right? Does anybody want me to teach you to design? I'll do it. It's fine. Send me an email. Goal number 5. Think big by acting small. This is where you put all of this information into practice. We grossly overestimate what we can get done in one day. We have lofty goals and ambitions. When we wake up in the morning, you're like chowing through that bowl of cereal because you want to get to the desk. Me anyway. And because I want to get all this stuff done. And at the end of the day, you got like maybe 20% of it done. And work just carries with you the rest of the day because you're bummed out, you didn't get anything done because you overestimated what you could actually accomplish. Make realistic goals. But at the same time, we underestimate I just said that. We underestimate what we could get done in 10 years worth of one days. If you plan for the end goal, if you can think 5 years out or 10 years out and make a reverse plan, this is a weird thing to do, but it's actually a good exercise. If you say I want to be like the best such and such in this app. I want to build an app and it's going to take over this industry. Okay, let's say we can do it in 5 years. Make a plan backwards through time, 4 years out, 3 years out, 2.5 years out, 2 years out. What does it look like? And then break those down into one-day steps and then go this way. One day at a time. But don't overestimate what you can accomplish in one day. This is the formula that will help you change the world. Let me explain. We're going to do some math. Okay. So the last 2 days, we've been learning a lot of stuff. We've been learning theory, we've been learning how to design, we've been learning how to build businesses. We know a lot of things. The collective knowledge in this room is really impressive. And let's say we're going to do a linear growth example. Let's say there's about 500 people here, and let's pretend we all had 500 followers on Twitter on average because the math is nice and easy, and I don't feel like doing it any harder. If we each wrote one article and tweeted it every month, like one really good article, like summarize everything we learned, really important stuff that we feel like the world needs to know. If we did this every month, month after month, and let's assume like a 10% click rate on that tweet, which is probably pretty good, and then a 10% integration rate, throwing back to the beginning, where these people actually read the article and said, yes, I'm going to put that into practice, and people started doing it. Important things, right? That gives us a total of a 1% conversion rate. After 1 year, we would change 30,000 people's lives, which is pretty cool. So maybe this is a way to go. After 33.33, repeating, of course, years, we have changed one person got that joke, 1 million lives, which is a pretty big deal. However, exponential growth is a totally different story. It doesn't involve big numbers and flashy articles and big focus on ourselves. If everybody here, roughly 500 people, each took 3 mentees, spent the year with them, one after the other, 3 at the same time, it doesn't matter. After 1 year, we would have 1,500 people's lives changed, which is not that impressive compared to linear growth. However, if you taught them to teach other people the same principles, whatever they are, good coding practices, whatever, after 2 years, it'd be 8,000. It's still not impressive. After 3 years, it's 32,000. After 4 years, it's 128,000. We're still not like at huge numbers because we've been doing this small thing. But every year, we teach 3 people, and those people just keep teaching people. We're going to start to pull away in a second. After 5 years, it's 500,000. After 6 years, it's 2 million. And after 10 years, it's 500 million. In 12 years, it's 8.3 billion people. If we just keep thinking small, which happens to be the estimated global population in 2029, which is 12 years from now, plus or minus 47 million, in case you do the math and call me out on it. That's how you change the world. I did the math. It's not that hard. We just each need to think small. Don't try and do it all on your own and tell everybody. Just tell a couple of people and get those people to tell things. And if you're thinking, well, all 500 people in this room are not going to do this, so I'm not going to do it, so it'll never get done, whatever. It only takes 16.5 years if one person here does this. I'm going to do it. So in 16.5 years, I'll see you there, right? It's going to be this awesome place where everybody doesn't stare at their phones. It's idealistic, I know. It's idealistic. But it's not that hard. It's a really basic concept. And if you replaced PHP with, I don't know, fitness and nutrition, we would have a much healthier population. We wouldn't have an obesity problem. And if you replaced PHP with work ethic and discipline, we'd have a better workforce. And if you replaced it with faith and you have like nicer people, and if you had finance and debt, we'd have, can you imagine what a world would look like with no debt? I can't. But in 16.5 years from now, maybe we could. Our lives echo beyond our ability to see. When we act small, and we just focus on people instead of the masses, we don't get to know what they taught somebody else and what that person taught them. And you have to be okay with that. I'm okay with it. Maybe we all can be okay with it. We'll see. Maybe you're thinking, sure, change the world, that's a great idea. It's super lofty. I'm not going to do that. What do I take home and put into place right away? These same principles would work for hiring. If you're focusing on the people that you're bringing in and you're training them well, they're going to go and bring in more people and train them well. And just like Titan and Adam moves on and things are happening, it works. Or team training, the way you invest in your team and give them the ability to actually learn and learn deeply and work deeply, can change your company. And if you think small and you acquire 1 or 2 or 3 really good clients and you just focus on them, and over time, they'll bring you more clients through word of mouth, and over time, those clients will bring you clients. That's how you build your business. You don't need 1,000 clients right away. You don't need 1,000 users. Focus on your 3 users, your 3 customers, and just start rolling that out slowly and over time. It means when you wake up in the weekend or on Monday morning and you want to build something and launch it by Friday, I don't know, maybe don't. Maybe. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to immediately contradict somebody else's talk. This is another way to go. And if you think through this information and you look at how it might affect you, maybe you come to your own conclusions. You can do it, we can do it together, inspirational talk, cue the music, that's not really how it works. Go and change the world. After party.